Hello everyone and welcome to June Shareholder Update. My name is Maria Terentьева. I'm an event manager for Cloudastructure. Please let me be the first to welcome and thank you again for your investment in Cloudastructure. A lot of great things have happened in the last 5 months, so I'll be brief. First, I would like to remind everyone there will be a Q&A after the presentation. We will try to get to as many questions as we can in the time we have. With that being said, if you do have a question, please just drop it in a Zoom webinar chat at any time. The link is shown here on the slide. We begin today with our CEO and founder, Rick Bentley, who will give you an update on engineering here at Cloudastructure and will introduce you all to our new amazing features as well as an exciting new product to share with you. In closing, I said in January that thanks to you, Cloudastructure is on a great growth trajectory. I can't tell you how proud I am to be able to say that again, because it's once again true. And the best part is we're just getting started. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you again. And now I want to turn it over to our CEO, Rick Bentley.
Thanks, Maria. Our lawyers have a few things they want to say on the slide. I'm not going to read it to everyone. Our agenda today, I'm going to talk about the company overview and a product update. Lauren O'Brien, our Chief Revenue Officer, will take over. Then Greg Smitherman, our Chief Financial Officer, and I'll come back to close. So our technology continues to grow and develop in amazing ways. We have won several awards for our computer vision technology. Our engineers are mostly located in Silicon Valley for this type of work, and our superior cloud-based architecture really makes the difference. We've recently added remote guarding to our solution. I'll talk about that in some detail. So let me start with analyst predictions for industry. Here's two quotes that we find to be very germane. AI services is forecast to deliver the fastest spending growth over the next 5 years with a compound annual growth rate of 22%. And by 2025, the market for artificial intelligence software will reach almost $134.8 billion. Now, those aren't our predictions, but they're pretty good ones. Now, when you think about the recent markets, though, you may not want to believe previous pontifications. And for some of the younger investors in the crowd here, you may have not seen a good downturn before, but it looks like we've got a different kind of market happening at present. And I like to share an old quip, and we could make this gender neutral, but I'll play it as it was originally written. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. We're going through another cycle. And one nice thing about being in the security market is as the economy goes down and crime goes up, those with assets must spend it on security. The security software industry is often considered to be counter-cyclical. Here's a quote from Haley Nada, partner and co-founder of Acme Capital, as he wrote on CNBC. At Acme, we like security software companies. They are going to be counter-cyclical to what's happening if we go into a recession. With that, let's talk about our latest feature, remote guarding. This is really the line between human and artificial intelligence. If you ask humans to watch video all day, every day, especially multiple cameras, the human brain can't do it. It tunes out, it can't stay focused. But computers never sleep. At the same time, computers can't catch everything with the nuances that humans can yet, even though we work on it every day. So the combination of the two is the best possible solution. We have computers watch all the video. They alert humans as appropriate when something's happening. Humans can then verify that something bad is actually going down, and they get involved in an escalation chain. They can talk down through remote network speakers, put that down, stop what you're doing, you're on video surveillance. And they can escalate all the way up to dispatching armed guards or police. This means that video surveillance, which has always just been used forensically, something happens, you go back and you see the video, try and find a face, contact the police, try and get someone arrested. Video surveillance now, with this new solution, can be real-time, can be proactive, and can stop things before they get bad. And now here's a video by one of our many engineers, Alexei, explaining some of the things he does here at Cloudastructure.
My name is Alexey Grunov. I am a software developer. I'm working on various computer vision tasks such as object detection, object recognition, tracking. During these 5 months, we already implemented a lot of very cool and interesting features. Whenever we see a car on the video, we have ability to recognize that it is a car, to identify what its color, what its type, like SUV or sedan. We can recognize the license plate number on this car. We can identify what's a car make. One of the great features we are currently working on is a gun detection. It takes 50 milliseconds for the person to blink, and it takes the same duration for us to detect a gun on the video. We can achieve this functionality by using the most modern artificial intelligence technologies in our project. All this functionality allows us to protect what matters. I'm really happy and proud to work in this company. I would say this is one of the most challenging projects I've ever worked with, because the goal that company is trying to achieve is very huge. This area is the future, and we are at the very beginning of this journey. We'll have a lot of interesting feature we'll implement during the next years. But yeah, my personal opinion that this is just the beginning.
All right, with that, I'd like to introduce Lauren O'Brien, our former VP of Sales and Marketing, who's been promoted to our Chief Revenue Officer. Lauren.
Hi, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today to give you the sales and marketing update. First, I'm going to give you a brief recap on what we outlined in our last shareholder meeting in January of this year, and then give you some great news on how we're doing so far in 2022. I also have some good news to share about recent awards that we have won. Lots to share with you today. As you might recall, in January of this year, we shared that we ended 2021 with bookings growth of over 1,400%, and that we were entering into 2022 with a very strong pipeline of over $10 million. We were super excited at the end of 21 because we ended the year strong, and we sensed this was the beginning of our growth trajectory. And we were right. As of today, I'm pleased to report that we have 2022 bookings of over $9 million. And our pipeline is now nearly 2 times stronger at over $19 million. And we aren't even halfway through the year. This is truly amazing momentum. We are gaining traction in the multi-site enterprise market, where our cloud architecture, analytics, and new remote guarding capabilities that Rick spoke of really shine. The bookings contracts combined include over 1,000 locations. We are now, in addition to sales, focused on rolling out our solution across these locations with operational excellence. I'd like to commend our sales team for their hard work in signing these contracts. Keep up the good work, guys. Our list of enterprise customers continues to grow, and as you can see, we have numerous recognized clients that are using our solution. We have universities, cities, large distributors, construction companies, etc. And they all want the same thing: easy to manage cloud surveillance across multiple locations with sophisticated analytics. This is our sweet spot. And now for another great update in marketing. We continue to get amazing coverage across the country from well-recognized media companies like the Wall Street Journal, Fortune, and Bloomberg. Additionally, the most respected voices in the security industry have now picked us up, and we are being noticed. And we have started out 2022 with a bang for awards, recently winning a sweep at the American Business Awards for, and most importantly for a startup company like ours, achievement in sales and revenue generation, best new cloud solution, best new AI ML solution, company of the year in computer software as well. We also won the Government Security Awards, the Govies, for Cloud Solution and Services, and the Cloud Award for Security Innovation of the Year. These awards come on top of our 2021 awards: Astra's Homeland Security Award for Best Video Analytics, Security Today for New Product of the Year, and CIO Bulletin, one of the top 10 most prestigious companies of the year. 10 awards since late last year. Truly incredible work. As you know, with this kind of press coverage and award recognition comes awareness and credibility of who we are. Last year, we had just begun our marketing efforts and no one really knew us. Well, this year, there's no question. People know who we are and the interest in us is growing, as you can see. Suffice to say, this is only helping our sales folks do their job better. Thanks to our very small and mighty marketing team for a great job. And also thanks to our development team for creating an award-winning product. So before I hand the mic off to Greg Smitherman, our CFO, I'd like to leave you with a fun video clip we created, and we use it at our trade shows and social media to create buzz. Enjoy, and I look forward to reporting back to you later this year. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to be here with you today and provide you with an update on the company's financial performance since our meeting in January. Today, I want to cover three topics: our strong sales traction, our strong cash position, and our strong investment activity. As Lauren highlighted before, our sales team has been fantastic in 2022, with $9 million in bookings year to date and almost doubling the sales pipeline from the beginning of the year. We have high expectations. To be clear, the bookings assume that the signed contracts are fully rolled out and the customers can cancel at any time. So results may vary, but we expect our service to be so good that the customers will be with us for many years to come. The revenue, the actual revenue from these bookings, will be recognized as services are delivered over the next 12 to 18 months. Our full audited financials are available on the SEC's website. I've included our income statement from 2021 here. 2021 was a building year as we ramped up sales and development teams, and the company plans to continue investing to build the business in 2022. As of the end of May, the company still has a strong cash position with $13 million in the bank. On the investment side, you have all shown great enthusiasm, and we wish to thank you. When we opened our online warrant exercise portal, one of the first portals available, investors jumped at the chance to put it to good use, exercising 2.7 million worth of warrants in the first month it was available. However, as we closed down our last Reg A financing and awaited the qualification of our new Reg A financing, the warrant portal had to go offline until such time as we had a qualified offering available. We don't make the rules, we just follow them. Quite a few warrants expired during that time period. So to be fair to impacted investors, we've extended their expiry date until June 20, 2022. All warrants that were part of your original purchase of the units have an 18-month life after purchase. We just want to alert folks that we are entering a period where a lot of warrants will expire. So please be aware of the expiration date of your individual warrant. The initial warrants that were sold were at 75 cents. We then moved to 90 cents as we had raised our price. Our current offering is at $2 a unit, with a unit consisting of 2 shares of Class A common stock, so nominal value of $1 a share, and an 18-month warrant with an exercise price now of $1.50. In summary, we have had a 7x growth in bookings in the first 5 months of 2022. almost 2x growth in our sales pipeline, and we still have $13 million in the bank. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at investorsupport@cloudastructure.com. Now I'll turn it back over to Rick.
So let's talk about our fundraising a little bit. It's been fantastic. As many of you may remember, we raised over $30 million, our initial Reg A+. We started that August of 2020, started at $1 per unit. Let's talk about the units real quick. Each unit contains 2 shares, nominally at 50 cents each. But kind of the bonus in there is you get a warrant, which allows you to buy a 3rd share for 75 cents. That warrant's good for 18 months after your investment. In August of 2021, we increased the price to $1.20 per unit, the most we could without filing a new Reg A+. That changed the share price nominally to 60 cents per share, and you get 1 warrant exercisable for 90 cents. We have a new Reg A+ open now. We may have underpriced things before, given all the interest, and it's at $2 per unit. That's nominally $1 per share, and you get a warrant exercisable for $1.50 per share. Again, good for 18 months. Now, for many of our current investors, those warrants are expiring. Remember, there's an 18-month exercise period. And we've created one of the first online digital warrant portals to make this easy for everyone. When we first put together a Reg A+, I'm not even kidding, the people in the whole ecosystem said, no problem, when someone invests, they're going to get an email with a PDF attachment with all their paperwork. They want to exercise a warrant. All they have to do is print it out, find the warrant exercise section, fill it out with pen, attach a check, put an envelope, put a stamp on it, and mail it in. I said, we're not going to do that. They signed up digitally. They're going to exercise their warrants digitally. And so we pushed really hard. And as I mentioned, we have one of the first online digital warrant portals. We were down as the SEC was reviewing our Reg A+ filing before we were qualified with them again, from February 21st through May 19th. And during that time, some people's warrants did expire and didn't get a chance to exercise. So for those impacted, we are giving up to an extra 30 days from when we reopened on May 19th. 14 days have already elapsed for some of you. Now, this is done through a custom URL that's emailed to you. So when you click on it, it'll take you to the warrant portal. It'll tell you how many shares you have, how many warrants you have, the price to exercise. You can just select how many you want to do, all that stuff. So check your email if you want to exercise your warrants. Not everyone's got an email yet. If you have any questions, please email investorsupport@cloudastructure.com and someone will help you. In conclusion, we had great momentum even so far for 2022. That's $9 million in bookings year to date. It's only June. We've been recognized for innovation and performance, and our strong financial position continues. This is all thanks to you. I want to thank each and every one of you sincerely from the bottom of my heart for giving us the confidence and support to make all this possible. Thanks again. All right, hey everybody. It's nice to be off the teleprompter and off the script. That may have been a little stiff, sorry about that. Okay, so here we go. Looking at some questions coming in here. Can you link the website for the warrants? So the warrants are a custom URL that will get emailed to you well before yours are ready to expire. And that custom URL then brings up the information about your actual investment and how many warrants you have to exercise. That's why we did it that way. If you just went to the portal, say, hey, how many shares do you have to exercise, right? Or how many warrants do you have to exercise? That could be confusing, right? So check your email. And if you don't have an email yet or you can't find it, you can email investorsupport@cloudastructure.com and they'll help you figure out where you are on the warrant exercise process. Hope that makes sense. All right. When can the warrants be sold? So the stock can eventually be sold. Right now, we're not public yet, so it's not on a stock market, not an exchange where you can buy and sell it. That or acquisition is obviously the goal. If it's acquisition, then the stock turns into cash or whatever we get paid for. Cheap, I don't know. It'd be cash. If you get bought by a public company, it turns into their stock, right? And then that's traded. You can sell that. So, but warrants you exercise, and then you get more stock than you had originally bought with the unit, right? You get 50% more stock if you exercise all your warrants. Is that right, Greg?
That is correct.
Okay, great. It's always fun free-forming these answers here and have lawyers yell at me afterwards. Hey, you said A instead of the. You got it wrong. All right. When can you download the slides we presented? So we're going to put this whole video up here with a permanent link soon. It'll be at the same page you got to get to the Zoom webinar, so you won't have to get a new URL. It'll be the original one. The guys here with the camera crew and stuff are going to take this Q&A and add it to it. So that'll be included, and it'll all be right here. Give us some, what do you think, guys, an hour or two?
An hour.
Okay, yeah, give us a couple hours, and it'll be here. So the current valuation of Cloudastructure, that's a great question. You know, you would take the nominal stock price times the total number of shares outstanding, and I don't have that right in front of me.
About 80 million shares currently outstanding.
Thank you, Greg. So about 80 million shares outstanding, nominally at $1 a share right now. And how does that compare to cash on hand? Cash on hand is $13 million, roughly, a little more, right?
13, yep.
Yep. So we're really happy with these numbers. I mean, it's been absolutely fantastic. And thank you for the congrats on the outstanding pipeline. The sales team is really kicking butt. Okay, one that's coming over, looks like from the Q&A channel that's not visible to everyone. How did we grow sales so fast?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll take that one. So last year we hired our first sales cohort, and we hired folks that mainly had experience in AI and surveillance and selling traditional VMS solutions. And very quickly we learned that that actually was not generating the traction that we were looking for. So we pivoted and we began to hire folks that had relationships selling to large enterprises without video surveillance experience in key verticals. And that's really become a winning strategy. So we're doubling down, and we hope to share even more exciting news next quarter.
Great, thanks. So I think that's right, and good work to you and the team. Thanks everyone in the Cloudastructure sales team for what you do.
Yeah, thanks guys.
All right, so there's several questions here about IPO. Now here's the funny thing for the SEC. The IPO plans are like Fight Club. You're not allowed to talk about them until you don't talk about your IPO until you have the offering statement out there. But just kind of rough goals, right? This is still a growth year for us, so we don't expect to be cash flow positive this year, right? We're still investing in the growth. Okay, more good questions coming in, but we're still anticipating spending on growth this year. Next year is the year where we really start to look at profitability and cash flow positiveness, right? Not saying that is even necessarily a goal for next year. It would be a great one, right? But if we're growing like gangbusters, sometimes you pay money to keep getting market share, right? And that could be the best strategy. So we can't say specifically what our goals are when, but after you are cash flow positive, that is a good time to look at going public, right? Now, of course, the markets lately have been on the brutal side. So it may behoove all of us if we wait a little bit to see if there's a V-shaped correction or something, right? Otherwise, we might want to stick it out a little bit longer than we would if the markets were still exuberant. So we'll see. Are you getting international customers? That's actually a good question for Lauren. She flew back from South America to come here to Miami for the shoot. So
interestingly enough, we are getting significant traction in Latin America. So recently made some inroads in Colombia. And I'm off to Panama right after this, and we have some significant potential there in Panama as well. So I would say Latin America is our next key focus.
All right, great. So, and here's another one. With growing subscribers and clients, where and how do you secure all the data? Who's your cloud data service security provider, et cetera? Yeah, so that's a great question. So the answer is it depends. For some of our customers, they really want to see top-tier security protocols, and government customers in particular have a stack of paperwork this high for everything you have to be compliant with. And for cases like that, I used to work at Google, so we use Google Cloud Platform, GCP. It's a competitor to AWS, but it costs less for the same stuff, basically, right? The problem is it's expensive. Here's an example. We use GPUs, graphic processors, to do most of the computer vision computations because they're way faster than CPUs. Just like for crypto mining, for example, a GPU is way faster than CPU. So just renting one GPU, like an RTX 3090 equivalent, right? Like $1,000 GPU, that costs like $2,000 a month to rent when it's in a data center. It's insane, right? So we've just we've spent some CapEx on some really big storage platforms. These boxes hold 45 drives each, right? Like 12 terabytes a piece. And these big liquid cooled 7 GPUs per 4U box graphic processing units. And we're going to host those ourselves. And so for customers who aren't the big government contracts who have the stack of paperwork, but someone who has a medium size or private enterprise, but is a little more understanding that, hey, this big stack of paperwork may not be the latest and greatest in security protocols, right? And can let us do it what we think is the best way. For customers like that, we'll be able to save a lot of money, right? So this is one of the things we've done with some of the cash that we've raised is invest in this sort of infrastructure. And these liquid cooled boxes for the GPUs are really cool, actually. I wish I had a picture of it. If all the nerds in the audience like me would really geek out on it. All right. Patents, yes. We have a new patent strategy going on. We have about a half a dozen or so in the pipeline. I can't make any forecast as to what the USPTO, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, will say about applications, but we are pursuing that aggressively. Let's see. Oh yeah, for the hybrid. So we are a remote first company ourselves, right? We don't spend a lot on rent. This office of ours here in Miami is a shared office space, for example. A lot of our most important employees still work from home, and we're okay with that. I see Elon Musk is forcing everyone back to the Tesla factories right now. I love and admire the guy, but for software development instead of car manufacturing, I think we can be a little more flexible. So for video surveillance at the office, we're seeing demands outside of office spaces. So we're seeing demand for people who own hundreds of properties, right? And how they manage all of those. And those could be a variety of different properties. The real issue we're seeing right now is less COVID and more crime. Look at San Francisco and the streets there and people moving out of downtown San Francisco. This is less about COVID protocols and more about tent cities and feces and needles on the sidewalks and employees getting assaulted and things like that, right? So, as a startup, you have to be nimble, and COVID was a big thing for us, and now security is a big thing for us. All right, how do you think a potential recession might impact the business? That's another great question. There's no way to say for sure, right? But as I mentioned here, the security business is often seen as counter-cyclical. So you can make money off of the misfortune of others if you're in security. As economy goes down and crime goes up, more people without jobs, people who are more desperate, more homelessness, etc. That is sadly, in some way, an opportunity for us, right? We think we see upticks already in demand, driven by the current economy already, and it may just be beginning, right? So it actually, almost tragically, could be good for us. All right, we got any more on here? Oh, 2 new messages. All right, let me just check these. How long is your typical sales cycle? All right.
I'll take that one. Yep. So interestingly enough, we thought the sales cycle was going to be long for at the very beginning, 6 to 9 months for some large customers, but we're actually finding that it's shorter. So I would say 3 to 6 months. We closed a $3.5 to $4 million in bookings for a contract in under 3 months. So it can be actually quite fast. So to be said, some can take, you never know, but we're seeing on average 3 to 6 months.
Nice. You may be hosting the boxes internally, but what about catastrophic occurrence? Do you have a backup site to keep business moving? Yeah, so great question. Thank you for all the nerds in the audience, and I hope this isn't boring for everyone else. The short answer is multi-site is the long-term plan. So the long-term architecture plan is our CVR, the cloud video recorder, which replaces the NVR, the network video recorder, which replaced the DVR, the digital video recorder, which was just a box with a hard drive, which replaced the VCR, which was a box with a magnetic tape in it, right? So anyway, it went from VCR to DVR to NVR, which is hard drive with a network interface, to what we call CVR, the cloud video recorder. They use DNS. They go to cloudastructure.net and say, hey, I got videos to upload. And whichever geographic site is currently available takes the video. It gets stored. This is not all fully built yet, right? We're just moving off of GCP to some extent and its own thing. So, someone describing is forward-looking here. But the CVRs upload to say, hey, to cloudastructure.net through DNS, who's available, whichever site is available takes that video. It gets stored there, and then the GPU cluster runs things through computationally there. They still update the database, et cetera, at GCP or AWS or wherever we want to be. And the reason is we still have the end users login there. That makes scalability and site response time and stuff very flexible for us. But the data is then pulled from our location through GCP to the end user. So for everyone else who's not a tech nerd, sorry for that little diversion. Do we have any beta products in the works? Yes, we got a few. Most are around computer vision. The remote guarding stuff is interesting, very interesting. We've got this kind of minimum viable product right now that makes it work in a remote guarding center, but we know there's lots of cool new things we can do as we apply computer vision to the problem, right? So what we need to get back now is data on what the operators spend their time on and how we can use computer to filter out noise, false triggers, et cetera, so they spend less time on it. Remote guarding launching the fall. Remote guarding is being sold right now, and we're rolling out remote guarding services presently. So by the time the CVRs hit the buildings and come online, we should have things going well before the fall. It's weeks, not months.
I'll just say from a sales perspective, having the combination of our cloud-based AI surveillance solution as well as remote guarding is really differentiating us. And we're getting a lot of interest from large multi-site customers with respect to that.
Are you looking to make more acquisitions ideally? Maybe one more. We've made two. We did the remote parking company Visionful, and we're just about to officially close on IPG, which has the Gearbox product line, which is a IoT sniffer. Let me describe this product really quickly. It's really kind of interesting. We go into an environment and hey, they've got 120 cameras and they've got a bunch of other stuff going on, and we don't really know what their network looks like, right? And where the cameras are, et cetera, when we first show up. And quite often, neither do they, right? Like they don't really have a list of all the cameras across all the buildings on all the floors, et cetera, right? So we kind of need to help them figure out what's going on. So we started looking at writing all the scripts to sniff the network and find all the cameras. And then we found this other company, IPG, that I've worked with their founder, Steve Kiss, before. And they're already sniffing the network. And they're finding everything out about what's going on. And by the way, this camera isn't up to date on its firmware. And that printer has a security bulletin out on its current level of firmware. And they could get hacked through this fish tank temperature gauge or whatever, right? And all that stuff is now more value to the consumer. Before, we were just going to spend money to find where the cameras are. And now it's another thing we can sell and give us the information we need on where all the cameras are, right? So those have been the two acquisitions so far, and we're excited about both of them. The other one I might consider is our own remote guarding services and go vertically integrated with that. And the reason to buy it instead of build it is to get UL listing and other stuff, you would want to have power backup redundancy, bulletproof glass, all sorts of like stuff that was really cool in 1980 that now with a diversified architecture doesn't mean so much anymore. If a remote guard can log in from anywhere, doesn't matter. They have a central office that they go to that has backup power. It's better to send everyone home because no one's going to kill every remote guard's power and broadband at the same time, right? It's when you put everyone in one building that's a problem. But the industry and the insurance companies haven't quite figured all that out yet. right? So right now we're partnering with Remote Guard Services. It might be advantageous to us at some point to have our own. We'll see. Have you lost any customers of note? Received notice? If so, why? Churn's pretty low.
I was going to say, I think churn is, I should have the stat for you, but I can only think of one of all of our customers, and that was due to, essentially their business, they went out of business. So our churn is very low. We have very loyal customers.
Yeah, our churn, we'll get our statistics and we'll publish those at some point.
Yeah.
Our churn is
it's in the high 90s. It would be my estimate.
Retention is in the high 90s.
Yeah, retention.
Churn's
Sorry.
very small.
Oops, you're right.
Thank you,
Good
Greg.
thing you're here, Greg.
For client acquisitions, what's the biggest opportunity you're pursuing? We're actually being a little tight-lipped about this because we're going up against these billion-dollar companies, and we're starting to get a lot of notice. And if they saw exactly where and how we were making our sales, they might try and get ahead of us. We're going to try and lock up the verticals we see here as quick as we can. Then we'll talk a little more specific. So, sorry to be a little sideways on that one. All right, I think the questions are slowing down here. Is Cloudastructure selling to public sector accounts like school systems and city governments?
Yeah, we actually just closed through a systems integrator, a small city last week. So we do have small cities. We have a couple of other school districts. And in fact, you saw on our enterprise customer list, perhaps in the presentation, we have several universities. So we are making some headway in the public sector. I will say that the sales cycle for those is a little slower. So it's not one that we're really focusing on at this time. Because we're looking for faster revenue, but we are getting traction.
Great. Okay, is there a company or suite of companies which may have an interest in acquiring Cloudastructure? So that's interesting. We're not in any formal discussions with anyone right now. However, the security industry is kind of fascinating. Their R&D department is basically their M&A department. And so what I mean by that is, rather than do exciting new technologies like we're doing with computer vision and everything else, in general, these big multi-billion-dollar entities sit back, let someone like us take all the capital risk, raising money, take all the technology risk of making it work, and take all the market risk of selling it, right? And so once companies like us have de-risked all that, and the technology works and the sales are going great, that's when they come in and pay sometimes really insane multiples to acquire smaller companies. And they know it's totally lucid behavior on their part. They get it. We're taking all the risk, and when they come in and pay a high multiple, they know once they put their brand on it and stuff it through their channel, the sales are going to be 10x of what the small company like us could do, right? So it totally makes sense. So I think, yeah, the incumbents, the one thing that could keep us going IPO is getting taken out for a nice sum by an incumbent, right? And we make sure that was good for everyone. All right. We mentioned international already. Any contracts with U.S. or federal government? Just smaller government at this stage, right, Lauren?
Yeah,
okay.
We are in discussions with I won't mention the department that the government that we're in, but we are in very close discussions with a current government entity right now, but nothing to share publicly at this point.
All right. Are there other companies that offer the same technology as Cloudastructure? I think people try. We think we're really good at it. We think we're good at selling it. We think we found the right product market fit. There are companies who have stopped selling some of the same technology. So for example, IBM and Google have both gotten out of face recognition. They won't sell those tools even anymore. So good thing we weren't using them. We built our own, essentially. So good thing we weren't using them as vendors at the beginning.
I mean, are we talking about competition here? I will say there is one other cloud-based surveillance company that was seen as #1 a couple years ago, and we've been informed that their analytics are poor. at best, and that is why we're being picked up right now significantly by, the traction that they made is actually where we're coming in and getting picked up because our analytics are superior, and so is our cloud architecture. So.
All right, how does your company handle the regulatory demands and data privacy, et cetera? Great question. It does get complicated sometimes, especially with federal government and other government purchasers. Private companies, though, can kind of do whatever they want. It's your business location. You can slap up cameras and do the thing. And a shout out from the assigned nerd. Thanks, Michael. All right, another question about the IPO. Again, that's like Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. You don't talk about your IPO plans. But watch the recap here to see if you want to hear it again. And also questions about the warrant exercise portal, if we could go over that again. I'll just do that one more time and then close out since the question stream is slowing down. The warrant exercise portal, there's the invest.cloudastructure.com where you can buy more units. If you have already done that, if you're an existing shareholder, and you want to exercise your warrants, you're going to get an email with a custom URL that will then take you into a portal that has your exact shareholder information, how many shares you have, how many warrants you have, and how much it costs to exercise and when they expire and all that stuff. Not everyone has gotten one of those emails yet. If you haven't or if you're unsure, please email investorsupport@cloudastructure.com and they will help you figure out what's going on. Great team. I think they're going to be closed for the weekend, but they'll be back at you Monday. So get the email in. All right. I think that's it for today.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks,
Thanks,
you.
Lauren.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate everyone's support.
All right.
Very, very sincerely. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.